G'day Flosstube, Anna aka Moranalis, back with another stitching update. Welcome to anybody who's returning. Welcome to the new people who found me. Actually, if you have found me via another Flosstuber or something, I would really appreciate it if you could put a message and let me know how you stumbled upon my little corner of YouTube, so that I can go, thank whoever sent you my way and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, leave a comment below. Did I say it was October 4th? I don't know. It's October 4th. It's a Sunday. Kids are still on school holidays. They go back to school on Tuesday. So we have Halloween preparations in full swing around here. Currently cannot walk into my she shed without getting around all the chicken wire that is eventually going to be sort of glow-in-the-dark ghostly ladies forms through a trail up the back. What else have we got? Oh, I have one daughter who sewed a cape for her costume a couple of days ago, I think about 3 days ago. Keep in mind, we're in the tropics. It's hot. She's dying of heat exhaustion, but for 3 days she is paraded around in that cape and will not take it off despite how hot she is. I have to admit, the cape turned out pretty cool. Put a photo in. So yeah, all the children have been busy constructing various bits and pieces for Halloween. So as far as Mom is concerned, this is one of the best freaking holidays out there because it gets the kids out of the house, doing practical things, building, etc. And, I think back to the years where they were really little and their idea of making a costume would be to scrounge up like an old wig and put it on somebody's head. And my daughters did that one year. Found a black wig, made it all messy, slapped it on my son's head and called him Captain Jack. I think there might have been some trinkets in his hair. Their skills have improved substantially since those years. And now they get downright fancy and outdo their mother. I had to go get supplies for my Halloween costume too. Nothing exciting to show there. We're going to go for the whole gypsy thing this year. Although my daughter gives me grief. That's not the correct term for that historical group of people. I don't even know what is the correct term, guys. Anyway, that's what we're going for. So I bought a styrofoam ball so I can make sort of a crystal ball and some bling so I can put bling on the skirt and stuff that I got. And as far as my daughter's grief about, using the historically correct term, I think these stereotypes, they're so far from the historically accurate anyway. I'm not sure if it matters or not. I don't know. I don't know anybody of that historical origins to be offended, to give me any guidance. I don't know. If any of you guys know what the correct way to deal with these sort of things, like, I guess I was figuring the Disney-fied gypsy, Esmeralda sort of thing. And as much as she's based on a historical group of people, does it bear any resemblance to that historical group of people at all? My guess is very, very little. Anyway, that is my, I suppose, mental drama for the week. And to be honest, I wouldn't have even thought of it, except that my daughter's like, Mom, you can't say gypsy. Well, maybe you're right. I don't know. So if any of you guys have an opinion, let me know, because I don't mean to be offensive. I just mean to be having fun for Halloween. But we're not here for Halloween. We are here for whips. I can't even remember if I said I have whips. I have some quasi-stitching related projects. I have one that's just totally not stitching, but it is so cool. So I figured you guys still like that. And oh, I have a special guest appearance. But let's start with the whips. So I have been working on predominantly for the last 2 weeks, the world map. So I was doing some overnight training in the US time zones, which makes class started at like 10 o'clock my nights. And I had so little brain cells that I just kept pulling this out. So we're working in this third page here. This was from an Etsy seller, ZAnnaCrossStitch. I think last time you saw it, I had only just started that third page. And now it's out of the Q-snap because I'm going to change over to working back on Aura of Autumn again. We have a finish on that third page. So, and to give you a guide of how big this piece of fabric is, I'm pretty sure this is folded into about fourths in both directions. So this is a massive piece of fabric, and that part of the reason I haven't wanted to pull it out of the Q-snap on a regular basis. It's such a nuisance to get all that extra fabric back in. But third page, totally complete. I think, yeah, the next page under it has bits of arch and just the top of the Sphinx's head. So that'll be the third page. You can just see the corner of the Sphinx's head come in there. That wouldn't be the Sphinx. That Egyptian, that head. You can tell what I am on history, guys. Not very good. It was not my cup of tea. Anyway, if you watch this video, you will see a recurring theme of maps. Reminder for anybody who hasn't been around 50 times before, my day job is in GIS or computerized mapping. So hence the minor obsession with maps. Next page is the balloon, and I was kind of hoping to get to that, but at this point I'm feeling a little bit guilty that I haven't worked on Aura of Autumn, because if you remember back to my goals for the second half of the year, I was saying, oh, I was going to do a couple of pages on that Aura of Autumn. And I haven't done a single one since. So I think I finished the one I had been on, but I haven't done anything else. So I want to at least finish the row on Aura of Autumn, and maybe I'm on the side where the last page is a very small sliver. So if I did finish that row and then went up and did the small sliver on the next row, so I could technically say I've started the next row, at that point I might switch back to the map. That's the theory. But, oh, I forgot to mention, this honkin' piece of fabric that this is on is just obviously a white even weave, 25 count. From memory, it's done 2/1 half cross, because I wanted to have the number of times I had to put the needle up and down for that monster. The other one I worked on a fair bit was Celtic Summer. And again, I think I said last time, this is what she's started to look like by Lavendar. And I think I said last time I basically had, this one had become my travel piece. So I'd pull it out at random places around town and work on a little bit. And had basically skipped around everywhere, trying to just do little bits that were conducive. What in the world did I do? Hold on. And it's the same again this week. So let me get my board. This is my tropical sunset conversion. I'm fairly certain there's a fair bit more in the top. She's getting too big for my board. I don't know whether the medallions on the side are new or not. But basically, I've been kind of making a deliberate effort to fill in them, finish off the medallions on this side, and then I will take whatever thread that is left over to then turn around and like fill up those motifs or fill in here. You can see I've got a few threads hanging, and that's because I wanted to see this border come up enough that I knew where it was going to match before I made any commitments, so I just left those hanging. I think there's a little bit more progress in the top of her dress. Again, because I was filling in some of these yellows here, they reoccur in her dress, and I figured might as well get those in. So yeah, the little medallions down the left are starting to get fleshed out as we have threads. And she is actually not too far. A lot of putsy here and there stitches, and the big border that goes around yet. You can see it started up here. That's got to go all the way around the other sides. But she's getting actually pretty close to start beading. So hopefully I remember to insert a before picture that might give you a better idea of where she was at, because at this point I'm not really sure. So she is done on a 28 count cashel that I dyed myself. I do intend to do all 4 of the Celtic ladies at some point, so I dyed 4 pieces, so I have the opportunity to have them all on the same fabric if I want them. I haven't really made that commitment yet. We shall just basically play it by ear. I thought it might be kind of fun to convert all the Celtic ladies to something that inspired me at the time when I started them. But other than fall, I was thinking the whole changing leaves of Wisconsin fall, where I grew up, and the big red barns, some colors that signify that sort of image might be a fun thing for fall. But I haven't gotten that far, and I really have no idea for winter and spring yet. It'd be hard to do them all based on the tropics, because it's like, it's just eternal summer here. There's a wet season and a dry season. There isn't summer, spring, fall business. Not really. This one is Pearl of the Orient Seas. And she as well is too big for this board. There we go. So nearly there. All her stitching is done. I think I finished beading the crown last time I showed her to you. This is a Bellafilipina design. No, I just knocked that treasure over. So I've started beading all the jewels and stuff that are coming off her. So we have these thick clusters of beads that I suppose are meant to be brooch type things, are actually a bit tricky to do. This is a 32 count fabric, Dark Fantasy by Color Cascades. And Jesus, I think they'd be tricky to do even on a 28 count. There's just so many beads. I have skipped a lot of beads in this thing, and the more and more I do, I'm very glad that I switched out a lot of the pink beads in the tail for treasure braid, because yeah, there's just a lot of beads. But you can see the dark pink beads in her crown. They are the ones that were charted for down in here in her tail, so I have kept them in some spots where I thought it made sense. I think you could do it either way, actually. There is other little bits of treasure braid that you can't really see very well, little bits of silver and gold, so I think you could have kept those bits of pink in the treasure braid and it still would have looked as it's meant to. These ones where you have the pink through the gems, that's all beads, so I expect you probably would have wanted to keep those beads. The wind's blowing, knocking things over. There's more pink through her tail and stuff up here. I haven't stitched anything in there. I don't know if I'll do treasure braid or beads. We'll decide when we come to it, basically. I think that's about it. Was focusing on those beads. Maybe this leaf. I haven't yet done her pearl or her shell with the pearl in it. So this one, the modifications so far, I've changed the skin tones to be more like the Korean skin tones, and all the Cold for Chronic was swapped for Treasure Braid. So there she's at. I had intended to do a string of beads a day sort of thing with her, and with that week of overnight training and stuff, there was no way I was getting beads out. I was too brain fried when I was awake. It wasn't going to work. So I think she had one good afternoon, and she probably had a couple hours yesterday, but not as much as I would have liked her to see. We shall have to get her back out and make more of a concerted effort on her in the next couple of weeks and get that project done. So I think that's it for my actual cross-stitch projects. But one of the side projects that's pretty related is, revamping my storage. I currently have a bunch of bobbin boxes, so I've got, depending on how many bobbins I've pulled out to work with, I can have up to 3 of these plastic boxes that are pretty well chalkers with all my spares that aren't allocated to anything. Plus there's another one that has just rolls of Krynic that, to be honest, I can't see myself really using it in the short term. I'm not a big fan of the Krynic, but at the same time I'm not really ready to let it go yet. And that's just the DMC and the Krynic. I have, you know, other setups for the silks, mostly the silks, but also the Treasure Braid that I don't have on a bobbin, a small bobbin. The few bits of, what brand was that? The other hand-dyed cottons, I just put them on a roll, on a bobbin, and they will work into this system with the DMCs. And there's very few of those. There's a couple of the variegated DMCs and one that I used for the Halloween sampler that I did from Stony Creek. I can't remember what the brand is, but they're cottons, so I don't mind putting them on bobbins. Anyway, I bought these boxes. So these came from our local office supply store, and I'm going to insert my special guest appearance here so he can tell you what we're going to do with it. G'day, Flosstube. I'm back with my special guest who's here to tell you about his project to help his mother. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Oliver.
What is your favorite subject at school?
HPE.
Which is gym class for the Yanks. What is your favorite piece that Mom stitched so far?
The Japanese moss gardens.
That chatelaine? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Took Mom a long time, didn't it? So, my little helper here is on school holidays. And we can't have little helpers stuck on the computer screen. So Mom gave him a job. Sounds like a good use for school holidays, don't you think? So I went to our local Office Works general office supply store, and I found these boxes. Nice shallow drawers. Drawers come all the way out, no dividers in them. And I want to put, they're about the perfect height for a bobbin, so I want to put rows of bobbins in there. So we did math practice. And what did my little helper have to calculate?
I had to find out the distance between there and there to see how many rows of bobbins you can fit in, and how big that area is to see how big our dividers need to be.
So what did we decide we needed for dividers?
We needed 12 dividers for both drawers, 6 on each, and that leaves room for 6 of these, and this one will go in the middle so you can fit your finger in the hole.
So our initial math said we should be able to, with narrow dividers, get 7 rows of bobbins, 6 dividers. We ended up with 5 because we have quite thick wood that we've scalped out of the shed to make our dividers, so we lost 1 row. So that puts the middle divider fair down the hole, and you can't reach in unless you cut a gap in the end of the wood. So my helper has cut about 30 plus dividers for me at the moment.
32 dividers.
And taken the end bit out of several of them, about 6 of them. So what's the next step in your project for Mom?
The next step is on all the pieces, sanding down
Hold it up.
sanding down that fuzzy edge on all of them, where the saw hasn't cut quite very cleanly. And then I've got to paint them all except for one edge, so then they match the box.
So, and then what will, once you have painted dividers, what will we do with them?
I'll make a piece of wood about the size of a bobbin, then line that up, glue in a divider, and then...
Yeah. So we'll make a spacer that's custom our bobbin size, so these all line up nicely. And we'll glue them in so the dividers will be in there permanently. And Mom will be able to store all her bobbins.
And I'll get nothing out of it.
Oh, you get lots out of it. You'll get a stocking out of it, remember?
And an ice cream. I want an ice cream.
It is Mr. Whippy Day. The ice cream man may be around this hour.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think that's about it. Stay tuned for the final project. See you guys. I'm such a mean mom for not letting him play computer games all school holidays. Excuse me. The ice cream man hasn't come yet, so we'll have to see how much sanding he gets done, whether or not we do an ice cream. Excuse me. So the plan is once we have all those dividers painted and put in, I will then decorate the front edge. And I was scabbing around in my old cross-stitch paper. And here's where we see that recurring theme. I found this paper pack I bought years ago. Haven't touched it ever. Yeah, it was years ago. It was at the Archivers in the Mega Mall. Probably 10 years ago I bought this. A 7 Gypsies paper pack. That's all maps. So, yeah, I will decorate along that front edge with these papers and whatever other randomness that amuses me on the day. Oh, you can see there's several copies of the different patterns. Just to, you know, prettify it up. And I figure that I've only bought 1 box to play with at the moment, but my plan is to go back and buy at least 2 more boxes. So that will give me 6 rows times 2, so 36 times 3, yeah, 36 rows to put bobbins in, and then I will take the full skeins that are currently in these 5x7 photo containers and put them in like groups of hundreds and stuff in one of the rows as well. So I'm hoping that means when it comes time to like kit up a project and do I have a spare thing of 762, I can just pull open the drawer and look, rather than my current problem is I'm digging under this box and pull out that box, and half of these are stored way at the back and I can't get to any of them. And so it's a real nuisance and I never want to do that, and I just end up going, well, I'll buy a new skein instead. It's generally not good. So yeah, that's the plan. I do have some of these boxes that are, they specifically hold full skeins that are meant for a big project like the full coverage map. And they are held separately. At this point, I don't think I will spread them out into the main stash. I bought them and put them separate for that project, so I think as much as I tend to raid occasionally a skein or two, I will try and keep them separate, and just use this for the surplus stuff that can be taken for any project that comes along. That's the idea. So I'm hoping we can at least get everything sanded and painted before the kids get back to school. Because no doubt once term starts, it gets harder to corral him to get any help out of him. And I don't want to sit there and sand 30-some things. So there's that project. The other project is not mine, but I'm going to show it off anyway because it's for me. A year or more ago, probably more, I was watching Stitch All the Things, and she had done a bag, I think for her daughter, and she'd altered the pattern to make it a laptop bag or something. But I thought it was a really similar style bag to what I carry around, so I bought the pattern, and my daughter has assembled it for me finally after much prodding. Again, you can see the map theme coming through. So I found that fabric on the internet. Obviously it's got a back zipper pocket that's more or less full width. This was one of our feature panels. We weren't very good at reading the pattern and being careful how you cut things. So we ran out of our original lining choice fabric. So that was choice 2 that looked, it matched. It just wasn't what I had originally picked. There's also, this one's a snappy, magnety sort of thing. And so that blue was our original lining fabric, and you can't really even see in there. Let's see. Zip top on the bag. So there you can see a better look at the lining fabric that we were aiming to, but again, there's another pocket in there that we ended up actually using the gray for. There is an internal zip pocket as well. Yeah, so I thought she did a nice job. We made a few deliberate changes to the pattern. So I knew I didn't want straps that snap on and off. So I think the original pattern called for D hardware, you know, with not, yeah, I think that's what they call it, a D something, shaped like a D, and a snap, toggle on off sort of clicky snap thing, so you could remove the strap. But I'm looking at this going, this bag is downright going to be useless without a strap to carry it. Why in the world? So we've gone with a strap that's permanently attached and a couple of adjusters on each end so that you can change the size of the strap as you need to. I just leave it all at the full length. So even then I'm wondering, why did I bother with the slide adjusters? Because I don't think I ever once adjusted the length on my other bag. But we did. It was a good exercise. Anyway, so we changed that bit of hardware, and then when we were working on the pattern, you can see this, the actual strap's a fair bit narrower than the hardware we bought. If I was doing it again, I probably would have brought 1-inch hardware. So the connector they had you build out of the map fabric was very narrow for this big old connector. And so we opted to make our own connector design out of the vinyl, which is wider and, you know, holds the hardware a bit better. And so that was all my daughter's doing. She's like, oh, I can do that. No worries, Mom. We'll just do it like this. And so she fixed it. It's good to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with that. That we finished that on Friday, and that is my new bag to take to work. And it doesn't look half as ratty as my old one. I thought she did a nice job. I've been trying to tell herself, you know, she should, her own bag is looking a bit ratty. She should pick a pattern or that she likes and make herself another bag. But I don't know, like she enjoys it once she starts, but it takes an awful lot of prodding to get her going. So whether she will or not, I don't know. I do think she has her eyes on more of a traditional purse sort of pattern rather than the bag, the satchel bag that I've got. I think that's probably it for me. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, enjoy your stitching, wash your hands, stay safe, all the usual stuff. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye.